Hello YouTube. I wasn't gonna post a video or film a video today, but then I guess something just clicked. And something I have been thinking about a lot lately is our connection to the divine, or to nature, to something other than the material world. And I think we tend to forget that we're a part of nature. I think especially because we've built cities, we've built a society that has separated itself from nature. And if we want to go out into nature, it becomes a trip, a vacation. We go to national parks. We have created this separateness between us and nature, that somehow we are not nature. We are not as low as nature. We're above it in some capacity. And that's just not true. We are just as much a part of nature as the pine tree, or the oak tree, or the wolves, or the squirrels. The only difference is that we're a little bit more sophisticated. We like to complicate things a little bit more. We don't just eat, sleep, and procreate. We have to play games. And on that idea that we are a part of nature, I started thinking that nature probably, most likely, definitely, no doubt, nature has its own language that we have forgotten. And we should know that language, or there's probably an aspect of us that knows that language. But like I said, we have removed ourselves from nature, and we've kind of forgotten that language. And I don't mean like the language we're speaking right now, or if you speak Chinese or Japanese or French, but the language I'm talking about is probably more on par with signs and synchronicities. Like the signs of birds flying in the air, or a certain plant growing in a certain way. Those type of signs. I'm not very fluent in those signs, you could say. And I don't know if many of us are. I know that there's a lot of resources online that talk about the symbolism and meaning of different animals when you see them out in the wild, like eagles or wolves, coyotes, what it means if you see a shooting star and all that stuff. But maybe we shouldn't rely so heavily on someone else's interpretation of those things. And this kind of brings me to something that Ashley read in a book. So this is going to be kind of weird, but Ashley was reading out loud as we were laying in bed. And one of the quotes from the book, I wrote it down in my journal here. I'll find it. I had her send me a picture of it the next day. But one of the quotes in the book was, "Never claim to know anything until you have experienced it yourself." And this book is written by a Native American shaman that goes by the name of Bearheart. And I was kind of thinking, along with that quote, that we base so much of our knowledge off of secondhand. We believe things because someone else has experienced it and has reiterated their experience. We have not experienced it ourselves. I mean, maybe you have, but I have never been to the moon. So all the knowledge that I have about the moon is secondary because I've never experienced it. Or about animals. What I know about animals, I know because I read it in a textbook somewhere. I didn't witness it or observe it or find the evidence myself. And maybe we should take that route when it comes to interpreting signs from the universe or just developing that connection or rekindling our connection to nature, because we are nature. I think it's just relearning the language. And that I can't speak for everyone, but I believe that our intuition is how we speak, or how the divine speaks to us, how nature speaks to us. And for everyone, that intuition is different. So I would imagine that different animals you see or different phenomenon you see out in nature is going to mean different things to different people. But we don't really dig into that too much. We don't dig into what it means to us. We just pull out our phones and look up, what does an eagle mean? What does a deer dying mean? You know, we don't really ask ourselves how it made us feel and what is being communicated to us. Or we reach for our phone and look up confirmations through tarot readings. And I won't get into that. I've definitely went through my phase of maybe consuming a lot of tarot readings. And I think in the long run, it was more detrimental than it was helpful. Yes, there were times where maybe there was something said that I needed to hear, but I don't think it's for the long term. I think a more sustainable way to connect to our divinity and understanding that language is through seeking it out ourselves and not through someone else. Because if we're seeking it out through someone else, we're kind of repeating the same patterns we've always had. There's always the gatekeeper, there's the priest, the monks, in any religion that seem to have the connection to the higher spirit and conveys their message to those that don't have it. And that's just not true. We all have that. It's just about developing it. It's about relearning the language. And just like there's different languages in different countries and continents, I imagine each language between us and Source will be a little different. You might speak Chinese to the Source. I don't know. That was a joke. Anyway, the point of this is maybe just try to develop your own language with the divine, and don't rely so much on someone else's interpretation. Don't rely on the internet. Don't rely on tarot readers, channelers. The only confirmation you need is in you, to trust what you know to be true. Trust your experience. And I know that there's a branch in philosophy that questions how do we know what we know. I believe it's called epistemology, but I think for the most part we can all agree that we trust our experiences, typically without any doubt. So it should be the same when it comes to spiritual matters. No one can confirm your experience. No one can really argue with your experience because it's your experience, and we all experience things differently. Just trust it. Anyway, that was kind of a ramble, but thank you for watching. Have a good night, YouTube, and peace.